Welcome to Lightstance. The purpose of this video is to provide you with a broad overview of how the system works, what the process methodology is, and what the eventual outcomes should be if you engage your company in a Lightstance project. So we'll start very basically with setup, basic information about the organization. Inviting participants into the program is very easy. So adding new participants, putting in their email address, and then messaging them for the various workshops that are a part of the Lightstance process is very, very simple with a couple of clicks. We also capture a few basic finance items to help with the guidance. Strategic planning done in a vacuum without any idea of what's going on from a financial standpoint is not very helpful. It's easy to let ideas run away from the reality of what we could actually achieve. So having some idea or some way to measure what is possible is an important component to effective strategic planning. So setup can be done in a matter of 30 minutes with some basic information, and then we're straight into really building out what a strategic plan is for our organization. The first tab we call direction, and it's focused on the core values of the organization, how we want to be perceived and how we want to behave as human beings. And physical decks of cards are available as part of the program. The purpose behind them is to really gamify the selection of potential topics to foster communication and dialogue, and to make it very easy to save new values and explain what we mean by those values in a very easy way. So if I wanted to write in relationships as a wild card and explain what I mean by that, I can do that very easily. We also use the system to capture what the vision is for the future. The forward-looking description of where you want to be, how you want the world to perceive what you've done in the past 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. So that big picture aspirational vision statement can be captured here, and corresponding to and really complementing that is what are the guiding principles, or what is the daily action plan or the mission statement when people hit the front door within the organization. What do we want them focused on? For our organization, we want everyone to be focused on helping you drive strategy, not just create a plan, but actual driving of strategy, meaning executing what we've decided we want to set out to do. So that is the place to capture and really captivate the team in terms of the direction of the organization. Very closely related are goal setting, and I'm sure most of you are familiar with the acronym SMART for SMART goals. The purpose behind SMART goals is to really be prescriptive and very, very specific about what you mean. So if I say break down silos, and companies of all sizes and all types of organizations across industries struggle with siloed communication and divisional infighting and that sort of thing. We, as a goal, if we said, let's break down silos, specifically, what do you mean by that? Well, we want operations and sales to talk more closely. And how will you measure that? Well, we'll look at delivery times for improvement. And is that attainable? Yes, because other companies are getting to market or delivery to the door faster than we are. And is it relevant? So the R, is it relevant to innovation for us? Absolutely, as one of our goals. And finally, when do we hope to have this accomplished by? So each one of these goals can be built out to then give us an inventory of what our goals are. And if we look at each one of them and we say specifically what do we mean, this ends up being the target for the department or the division or the corporation in terms of a limited number of focal points for us to get things accomplished this year. So we've established now which direction we want to be headed in, how we want to be operating as human beings with our core values, what our top 5 goals are, and then what are the opportunities that support those goals. So to add an opportunity, and again, we've gamified the discussion process or the idea generation process with physical decks of cards that are digitally represented here. So there are catalysts for ideation with finance, with human resources, with operations, sales and marketing, technology, and then we have specialty decks. So if your organization is in a turnaround phase, or if you have a startup situation, we have topics that are very specific to your exact situation. And this ends up making it very easy to add new topics and to describe what do you mean by cautiously approach influencers. Sometimes followers and potential scope of touches can be deceiving in social media, as we all know. So in startup mode, how do we get the word out, but how do we do it in a way that is very real and drives impact? Within the system, we also have the ability, and this is fostered through a workshop around opportunities, to look at the likelihood and the impact and the velocity with which something could take place. So the velocity is a modifier. If it could happen immediately or over the course of a quarter to, for example, align ourselves with an influencer to help put our product or our service in front of hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people. And then if it's a longer term process, like the aging of our workforce demographic or what have you, that drives a prioritization score that can be doubled with a sense of immediacy. And then finally, we align each one of the opportunities with the goals that they would support or help us to achieve or accelerate the completion of. And it's a way to look at opportunities and risks with a much better lens of, are they important to us accomplishing our corporate goals? So each functional area of the organization has the opportunity to discuss and to highlight their top opportunities and to share those with the team and build consensus around what we should follow up on. The same can be done for risks. And we have companies that will use the system just to do a risk assessment, and will turn off opportunities and basically focus solely on risks. The COVID-19 situation right now, we have a pandemic card that is very rarely played, but it is a topic that unfortunately we're all dealing with right now. So the creation of that risk and the discussion around it, what it does to operations, what it does to human resources from a work from home or a social distancing aspect, how it impacts demand, how it impacts our supply chain in other parts of the world that are in varying stages of shutting down or locking things down from a mobility standpoint. All of these things can be shared, captured, and delivered through the Lightstance platform. The other thing that we've done is given you the ability to easily create projects to deal with a risk or an opportunity. So we had SMART goals to begin with. We were prescriptive, we were specific, we want to measure them. Now we want to do the same thing for the execution of projects related to risks or opportunities. The acronym is the same, the words are a little bit different. What's the scope of the project? What are the metrics for the project? The A is now accountability. So who will be accountable for making sure that we have the resources, and who will be accountable for making sure that the project is delivered on time and on budget. How much will the project cost, and how much of our internal human capital cost will there be, and time-based deliverables is important for any project. A project with no delivery date is probably just a wish list. So with each of those, as we build those out, now we're building a charter of potential projects to pursue. If you remember from the beginning, we took on some financial information to make sure that we had adequate resources to pursue the things that we want to do. This is where we're deciding which of these am I going to execute on, meaning push them over into green, and which of these am I going to leave in the parking lot to potentially tackle at a later date, or to decide not to do at all. But the ones that move to green, and as part of this analysis, we're looking at the financial impact. So what does it cost us to borrow, and what would the potential return be for financial success, and how long will it take us to get our money back? So how does each project stack up versus the others in terms of getting to the execution and deciding, okay, we're going to move forward. What is the update? So are we on budget? Yes, we are. Are we on time? No, we're not. We're a little bit behind, and the reason for that is maybe we were going to have a project manager coming over from another division, and that person hasn't been released yet. So this is the place to capture what happened the last 30 days or the last week or whatever the reporting cadence is, what we're going to accomplish before the next reporting period, and where we see a need for resources or hurdles to overcome or issues to discuss with the team. And it's a simple tool to provide insight and accountability into what's going on within each project. And finally, the ability to drive all of this information into a series of reports. So these are templates that are live feeds from the system. If you would like to see your one-page strategic plan, it's laid out here in a Word format. It can be downloaded and used throughout the organization, or amended or adapted to whatever sort of reports you would prefer to provide to your team. A more comprehensive stewardship report template is also available. This report details the process that we followed, who was invited and why, what the direction of the organization is, which of our SMART goals we decided to pursue, and the detail around each one of those. So the spelling out of the acronym, if you will. What our top 10 opportunities are, and they're sorted by Lumen, or the prioritization score of what's most important. Conversely, we also look at the top 10 risks and where those items will come in. And finally, what are the SMART projects that we're going to pursue, and how are we pursuing those? So it's a very automated way to take live information collected from the entire team on a single platform. No post-it notes, no whiteboards, no pictures of sheets of flip charts and the like to try and then assemble later. Everyone can work collaboratively in the system to build out visibility into what's going on with our strategic plan in a very, very simple way. And in a nutshell, from standing start to bringing the team together to define the direction and the goals of the organization, looking for the opportunities that are in support of those goals, finding the risks, trying to see around corners of what could be coming. No one saw this pandemic on the horizon, but it's here now. So those with a plan will come out stronger financially, and those that are late to respond or lacking a strategy are really, really going to struggle. And I think in certain industries, certainly hospitality, transportation, and maybe a couple of others, we're going to see significant fallout from the disruption to business as usual. From there, we look at how do we create projects to deal with those risks and to take advantage of those opportunities. And with the team, using prioritization and financial analysis, which ones should we actually execute? And then let's give visibility. Let's be honest with ourselves and say, are we getting the job done or are we not? In a nutshell, that's what the Lightstance platform provides. It's simple to use, it's robust in its functionality, and it really does deliver consensus and ownership of a strategic plan to help drive your company forward and help you work through very adverse times. Thanks for your interest, and hopefully this overview was helpful to you.